What up guys, we're back at you with another AMA. As always, this week's episode is brought to you by Santa Cruz Paleo. If you want to get any of our formulas, look up santacruzpaleo.com. Go to our website, and right now you can use the code SantaCruz10 when you get any 2 items. So that could be some electrolytes and a protein powder, that could be food of the gods and some creatine, whatever you want to get. The electrolytes are sold out right now, but they will be back in stock by the time that I drop this episode, and so will the magnesium, potassium capsules, which sell out very fast. The protein, chocolate, and horchata should be back in stock, so go get some stuff. Let me know how you like the stuff, and DM me your reviews, what flavor you got, all that type of stuff. And let's get into this week's episode. As always, leave your comments below and I'll get to all your questions. I really appreciate the questions that you've been leaving below. And if I haven't gotten to your question, keep on asking it because I will be doing more of these. This question is, Brennan, what are your thoughts on green tea? I am actually a fan of green tea. There's some really cool things with it. So first of all, it does contain L-theanine, which is an amino acid that basically offsets some of the effects of caffeine. So it's a kind of cool balance because green tea does have some caffeine, but it also has L-theanine, which is really cool. It also contains some antioxidants that are beneficial for your health. Now, because it does contain caffeine, I wouldn't drink it later in the evening, personally. But green tea, big fan of it. The next question is, Brendan, what are your thoughts on sauerkraut? Sauerkraut's actually really good for your health. In all honesty, pickled veggies are the way to go. There's some beneficial probiotics, and they just work really well with our guts. And we do talk about plant defense chemicals sometimes, and when you ferment vegetables, it really just negates a lot of those plant defense chemicals. So I am a fan of sauerkraut. I'm a fan of other pickled veggies, and I often eat them. They just go really well with meat. Like if you have steak and some sauerkraut, just trust me, it's bomb. The next question is about the Atkins diet. Brendan, what do you think about the Atkins diet? So the Atkins diet was very popular kind of in, I think, like the 80s and 90s, and it was basically a low carb, high protein diet. And guess what? It worked for a lot of people. It really became like a big wave because when people do eat higher protein, lower carb, they probably will lose weight. Why is this? This is because protein just has a more beneficial effect on your metabolism than fats or carbohydrates. And what happens is people are able to regulate their calories way easier when going on a higher protein diet versus a higher carbohydrate diet. Now, personally, I don't eat extremely low carb, and I'm not really a fan of the Atkins diet. Now, it's not some horrible thing, and a lot of people end up doing a high protein, low carb diet, especially when they're cutting and stuff like that. For me personally, I do a moderate amount of carbohydrates, a high protein diet, I do that, and a moderate amount of fat. I don't want to restrict my fat, and I don't want to restrict my carbs. But overall, it was kind of cool to see it take such hold, and now it's sort of coming back that, hey, you can eat low carb and feel amazing and kind of lean out. It's very true. The next question is, Brendan, would you recommend laxatives to cleanse my intestines? So with a lot of this stuff, guys, liver cleanses, intestinal cleanses, they're complete BS. It's not how the body works. You do have antioxidants in your liver and in your body, like glutathione, for example, which does help the detoxification pathways. But you're not going to cleanse your liver or cleanse your intestines by taking a bunch of laxative stuff like that. It's really not going to help you at all. What I would recommend if you are having some gut distress is to eliminate some foods that are common triggers, then add them back in after 30 days, and you can sort of see what is aggravating you. Try to eat only unprocessed food for 30 days. Try eating high quality meat, high quality dairy, some high quality veggies, some high quality fruits, maybe some potatoes, and just do that. Cut out all the BS and see if you still have intestinal issues or whatever you think you have. You probably won't after that. The next question is, Brendan, what are the most beneficial vegetables that you can eat? So, this is going to vary person to person. I actually don't eat an extremely large amount of vegetables, but I do eat some. For example, I like having carrots, I like having bok choy, I like having, tomatoes, which are actually technically a fruit. But it's really gonna be up to you. I do like having some leafy greens when they fit within a recipe. For example, some lettuce in a burger bowl, I'm a fan of that. But I'm not this person who's trying to fit in as many vegetables as possible. My gut just doesn't feel great when I do that. If you feel great doing that, that's cool. Veggies, it really comes down to preference, whatever you like. The next question is, Brendan, what are your thoughts on sugar-free soda like Pepsi Max, Coke Zero, all these things? I'm not a fan of them at all. First of all, if you just, not even talking about the artificial sweeteners, the artificial food dyes and preservatives that they have in those, not a fan of at all. Just horrible. And then we get into the artificial sweeteners debate. Again, I don't want to drink artificial sweeteners because I do not think in the next 5-10 years we will look back at the research that's been done, and we will probably realize that it's not good for our gut microbiome to be consuming a lot of these artificial sweeteners. That is a guess, so if you want to just go by research that's been done up until now, go for it. Just keep in mind, they used to say cigarettes were good. Research updates. Use your use your intuition here a little bit. Do you think drinking, aspartame that's been warm in a store, in a plastic bottle for months is good for your health or bad? Do what you want with that info. The next question is, Brendan, eating before bed. Should I cut off eating at a certain time? The answer is yes. You shouldn't really be eating right before bed. Now, there's some research on this. If you eat, within 30 minutes before bed, it has been shown that it's going to affect your sleep in a negative way. You're going to get less sleep. This is probably because your body has to allocate some resources to digesting that food. I will sometimes eat as close as an hour before bed, but it's a pretty light meal. Usually some fruit and yogurt, maybe before I go to bed. Your big meal, you should really try to have that about 3 hours before bed. So you shouldn't be eating right before you go to bed. The next question is, Brendan, do you have any tips on building confidence, overall confidence in life? I think this is something a lot of young men struggle with, and the person asking this is probably, having some issues with this, and I do have sort of a method on how you can build confidence. The key thing is learning new things. When you learn new things, you hardwire your brain. There's a lot of research on this. You hardwire your brain in a positive manner. So what can you do? For example, when I was 17 years old and I walked into my first jiu-jitsu gym, I didn't know what I was doing, okay? But from there, you start to learn. And don't be afraid of sucking at something at first, because you will get better over time if you put in the hours. Nobody starts a new activity and actually puts in 100 hours, 200 hours and gets worse, okay? So you need to start new things all the time that you get better at. And it builds confidence because it's a reality. It's something that you really see of, oh, wow, when I used to go into jiu-jitsu, everybody would tap me. I would just get trashed. Now when I go into jiu-jitsu, I tap some people. I beat some people. I'm the person that when white belts come in, I roll with them and I just, deal with them. And that wasn't the case before. So that builds real confidence that can spill over to other areas in your life. So what I would recommend is going and learning a new skill, getting good at it, and letting that confidence spill over into your life. And this also makes you a bit less afraid of when you see success in some other area, or you see somebody that's very successful. You're not gonna be intimidated by that because you sort of know, oh, this person put in the hours in this particular field and they got to where they're at. You understand the path. The next question is, Brendan, how do I make good friends? How do I meet good people? Maybe they've moved to a new city or something like this, and what do you do? So what I would recommend is obviously go to a martial arts gym and go to an actual gym and meet people. It's sort of hard to meet people in a commercial gym, so what I'd recommend is a martial arts gym. Go to a jiu-jitsu gym. You'll meet people through that. I'd recommend getting outdoors and doing some activities that you like and trying to find people to do those activities with. I would also say if you live in some small, horrible town, to get out of there. I know that's not really practical advice for a lot of people, but the simple truth of the matter is if you live in some random town, you're just around the same people all the time, it might hinder your life. So take that for what it's worth, but it's the truth. The next question is, Brendan, do you have any tips for a diet? I'm a long distance runner. What can I eat? So if you're a long distance runner, you are going to want to increase that amount of carbohydrates. So I'd recommend is doing even more fruit, more white rice. Foods like potatoes are really good. Foods like honey and maple syrup, you do want to up those carbs a bit. For a lot of people like myself, I'm probably eating 150, 200 grams of carbohydrates per day. You'd want to up that for sure. You still want to hit your protein goal, but if you're hitting maybe 0.7 grams per pound of body weight, that's probably fine because you're not doing as much resistance training, although you should be lifting some weights, but it sounds like you're really focused on long distance running. So you do want to up that amount of carbohydrates, and then you don't want to fear fat. You wouldn't want to eat fat before a race, but after your races or when you have some time in between, maybe at dinner, you do want to get some of those healthy fats. There is, way more calories per gram and more energy in fat than protein and carbohydrates. So you don't want to avoid those fats. So put some olive oil on top of your meal. Cook your meal in beef tallow. Have some eggs, have some coconut oil, have some grass-fed butter. Don't be afraid of those fats, but don't do them before a race. Supplement-wise, you probably want to look into citrulline. You probably want to look into potassium or a really good electrolyte. And you probably want to look into some stuff like magnesium for sure, because your body's going to be pretty depleted. I would also recommend getting some good high quality dairy because you're constantly putting stress on your bones by doing this long distance running. There you go. The next question is, Brendan, if you had to pick one fruit, what would be your favorite fruit and why? This is a really tough question. I have to sit back and think about this for a while, man. What I would say overall, like practically, it's going to be organic blueberries. Blueberries have a lot of polyphenols, a lot of antioxidants. They taste amazing. They're just a nutritional powerhouse. But that said, my favorite fruit is probably a really good, perfect mango. But the problem is, you can't really find good mangoes up here. It's tough. When I go to Costa Rica or Mexico, we're just going in on mangoes like crazy. Even when I was down in San Diego, just a little bit closer to Mexico, they had some better mangoes. So blueberries is the answer, but if I can get a good mango, going mango. The next question is, Brendan, are there any fast food restaurants you can go that are generally healthy? So the answer is yes. Now, there's this new place called Kava, which I gotta go try. I gotta go make a bowl there. That's like taking the world by storm. It's very similar to Chipotle. Chipotle is another one that I think is pretty good. Turns out Buffalo Wild Wings cooks their wings in beef tallow. So I gotta go do a video on that, do a review on that. In-N-Out, you can get a protein style. I've done a video on that. There's some good options. Now, there's also some bad options. Like, I couldn't think of one thing that I'd want to eat at Subway, personally. Their bread is horrible. I can't think of anything I'd want at Subway, Burger King, none of these places. People say with McDonald's, they can go just get beef patties, like just order the beef patties. It's cool, I guess. It's not really as good as like an In-N-Out protein style, personally. But, you know, that could be an option. So, yeah, Chipotle, this new thing, Kava, I'll check out. Buffalo Wild Wings, maybe In-N-Out. Maybe even McDonald's if you just get the beef patties, but yeah, those are some that come to the top of my head. Brennan, what are your thoughts on sugar alcohols? So this is a, hotly debated thing because a lot of sweeteners are basically sugar alcohols. So I don't really have too much of an issue with them. It does seem that erythritol can be derived from corn and it can be derived from GMO corn, so we generally stay away from erythritol. I am a fan of monk fruit and stevia, although some companies use heavily concentrated stevia. I don't know about that, but we just use like a little touch of stevia in our products. So those are two sweeteners that I like. I'm not really a fan of aspartame. I'm not a fan of sucralose. I'm not a fan of acesulfame potassium. So it really depends on what you like and what you find tasty, but I think monk fruit and stevia are decent options. The next question is, Brendan, there's baking soda in my natural deodorant and natural shampoo and it really irritates my skin. What do you think about that? So I actually do use a natural deodorant that has baking soda in it and it doesn't irritate my armpits at all. Now my girlfriend actually she has used a deodorant before that's baking soda and it does irritate her armpits, so she doesn't use that. So I think it's sort of up to you. Baking soda doesn't really negatively affect my skin health at all. I don't really see why it would, but for some people it obviously causes a reaction. So you're going to want to find ones that are baking soda free. That's all I can say. I don't see any like drastic negative health effects of putting baking soda on your skin topically, but obviously if it irritates your skin, don't use it. All right guys, that's it for this week's AMA. As always, leave your questions below and I will get to them. And if you want to try out any of our formulas, go to santacruzpaleo.com. Use the code SantaCruz10 if you buy more than one item and you will get 10% off. We have a new electrolyte flavor we're working on, lemonade. We have a kiwi one we're working on. The whey protein we are working on probably for like an August launch. So we're really excited about that one. So yeah, go check out some stuff, get some creatine, get some food of the gods, get some vitamin D. Stay healthy. Leave your questions below and I'll talk to you soon.